The NHL's Hart Trophy is probably the biggest individual award you can win. It's basically the league MVP. It's awarded to the player judged most valuable to his team. And so far this season, there have been a ton of players that are just playing amazing and are obviously super valuable to their respective teams. So in today's video, I'm going to go over my top 10 candidates for the Hart Trophy so far this season. I took a few different things into consideration when making this list, how the team has been doing, and obviously that player's impact on their team. And everybody isn't going to have the same list, so make sure to let me know what yours would look like down in the comments section below. And if you guys are new and have been enjoying the content, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Kicking the list off at number 10, I have Aleksander Barkov of the Florida Panthers. Everybody knows how valuable he is to that Florida team. He's an amazing two-way player, and obviously he's not too bad offensively either. He had 96 points last season, and so far this year through the first 30 games, he's got 36. And if the Florida Panthers can remain consistently good throughout the season, and the Florida Panthers obviously make the playoffs, then Aleksander Barkov, in my opinion, is going to get a lot of recognition for being a Hart Trophy candidate, because it's not like this team is getting amazing goaltending. At times this year, Bobrovsky has just been downright bad, but the biggest reason why Florida has been a relatively good team this season is because of how good their offense has been, and obviously Barkov is a massive part of that, and so is Jonathan Huberdeau, who you could actually honestly give an honorable mention to, but I went with Barkov over Huberdeau. Even though he has one less point, he's a very impactful player. His two-way game is among the best in the league, so I think him being the best player on Florida and the way he's playing, I couldn't leave him out of the top 10. Moving on now to the number 9 spot, I have Artemi Panarin of the New York Rangers, and I've said this on the channel before in multiple videos I've made so far throughout the season that he has definitely proven me wrong. After he signed that massive deal with the Rangers, I definitely thought he was overpaid. I mean, sure, yeah, I thought he was a good player, but not amongst the best in the league and not really worth that amount of money. But so far this season, he has been one of the better players in the league, and honestly would definitely be a little bit higher up on this list if the New York Rangers had a little bit better of a record. Because when you're talking about Hart Trophy candidates, it usually has to be players that are playing very good on a playoff team. I mean, you usually don't have Hart Trophy winners at all on a team that doesn't make the playoffs, but if the New York Rangers do somehow make it in, and it's definitely going to be tough in that Metro, but if they do, Artemi Panarin could be like a top 5 candidate. So far this season, in 30 games, Panarin has 15 goals and 22 assists for 37 points, and when Mika Zibanejad went down with injury, he had Ryan Strome on his line, and I feel like he really elevated Strome's game too. He's just making a lot of people on this Rangers team better, and he's definitely living up to the hype that everyone gave him heading into the season. Again, the only reason he's at the number 9 spot is because the Rangers are only 15, 12, and 3, but it's a very long season, so you never know what could happen. Moving on now to number 8, I have Evgeni Malkin of the Pittsburgh Penguins. This guy has been unbelievable ever since Sidney Crosby went down with injury, and it's honestly just super impressive how Pittsburgh has been able to stay a very consistently good team throughout the season, even though they have suffered so many injuries upon injuries to very key players on the team. Obviously, most notably Sidney Crosby, one of, if not the best players in the world. You have Justin Schultz, who's a key part of their blue line, Patrick Hornquist, who can just never seem to stay healthy. Galchenyuk missed some games too. It's just crazy to think how many injuries have plagued this team, and they're still playing so well. And in my opinion, the biggest reason why, at least lately, has been Evgeni Malkin. In 20 games played so far this season, 8 goals and 19 assists for 27 points, and he hasn't been healthy all year either. He missed a lot of time at the start of the season, but man, if he continues to play like this throughout the year and Pittsburgh does make the playoffs, which I think they will, they're 17, 10, and 4. They are 5th in the Metro, but they are in a wildcard spot. That Metro division is just a bloodbath right now. But if the season continues to play out like this for Malkin, he could definitely have his name in Hart Trophy conversations by the end of the season. At the number 7 spot of Hart Trophy candidates, I have Jack Eichel of the Buffalo Sabres. Man, has he ever been on a tear lately. What is it, like a 14-game point streak right now? He is 100% playing the best hockey of his young career right now, and Buffalo is benefiting from it in a big way. They got off to a really hot start to the season, and then things kind of fell apart, and people were saying, oh, it's the exact same team as last year. But since then, Buffalo has kind of evened out a little bit. They're 5, 2, and 3 in their last 10, and currently sit 15th overall in the entire league. They're not in an awful spot right now by any means. And even though Buffalo's record doesn't sound great right now, it has them at 2nd place in the Atlantic. That division has really been struggling so far this season, but Buffalo's going to have to find some consistency because teams like Toronto, Tampa, and Florida are only going to get better as the season goes on. Right now, through 32 games, Eichel has 20 goals already and 24 assists for 44 points. He's probably going to hit 100 points this year if he stays healthy, and everybody knew he had the potential to do that, and now he's finally showing us what he can really do. And like I said, he has been so valuable to Buffalo, and if they make the playoffs, I I think 100% Jack Eichel is going to be one of the favorites to win the Hart. Moving on now to the number 6 spot, I have goaltender Darcy Kuemper for the Arizona Coyotes. Now, if you were to tell me at the start of the year that the Arizona Coyotes would have like a Hart Trophy candidate and they were going to be one of the best teams in the Pacific, I would think it would be either Clayton Keller or Phil Kessel really carrying the team. But so far, that hasn't really been the case. They have some good players having decent individual offensive seasons. Nick Schmaltz has 22 points, Keller has 21, Dvorak and Kessel have 19. But the main reason why they have been so good is the amazing goaltending they have been getting from Darcy Kuemper and Antti Raanta too, but obviously Kuemper has been one of the best in the league. So far, with a 13-6-2 record, Kuemper posts a 1.96 goals against and a 935 save percentage. Those are some ridiculous numbers. And the Coyotes currently have an 18-11-4 record and are second in the Pacific Division. It looks like this is finally going to be the year this team makes it into the playoffs, and Kemper's going to be a massive reason why, and honestly, I really hope he gets some recognition for the Hart, and I think he'll be one of the favorites for the Vezina too. Moving on now to number 5, I have defenseman for the Capitals, John Carlson. Washington being the best team in the NHL, I had to have at least one Capitals player in the video. I do also want to show some love to Alex Ovechkin, who you could definitely make an argument should be a Hart Trophy candidate. Evgeni Kuznetsov has been very valuable for them, same with Braden Holtby, but I decided to go with John Carlson because he's not only been one of the best defensemen in the NHL this season, he has been one of the best players in general, and obviously has been such an important part to Washington's success so far this year. I mean, the guy's on pace for 100 points. It'll be interesting to see if he keeps up with that pace, but I think he'll easily crack 85. So far in 32 games, Carlson has 11 goals and 32 assists for 43 points, and he logs almost 25 minutes of ice time per night. And with the Capitals being the best team in the NHL right now with a 22-5-5 record, like I mentioned, I had to have at least one of their players in this video, and considering how unreal John Carlson has been, I decided to go with him. Next up, at the number 4 spot, I have goaltender Connor Hellebuyck for the Winnipeg Jets. He has been their MVP this season without a doubt. Considering everything they lost on the blue line especially, it's honestly super impressive that they have been a top team in the NHL this year, and it's impressive the numbers Hellebuyck is putting up. I was arguing with someone the other day who said Hellebuyck is only good because he has a good team in front of him. He's the reason that this team has been so good this season. They lost Dustin Byfuglien, they lost Jacob Trouba, they lost Tyler Myers, Ben Sherratt. I mean, their only defenseman that was really consistently in the top 4 for them last year that's on the team now is Josh Morrissey. And so far this season, Hellebuyck has a record of 15-7-2. He's among the league leaders in goaltenders for wins, a 2.24 goals against, and a 933 save percentage. And the Jets' overall record is 19-10-2, and they're 3rd in the Central Division and are in the top 10 in the league overall. If they keep this up throughout the entire season and they do stay in a playoff spot, then I think 100% Connor Hellebuyck should get a lot of consideration for the Hart Trophy because he's been so valuable for them this year. Moving on to the number 3 spot on this list, I actually have David Pasternak and Brad Marchand, and I honestly feel like it'll be kind of tough for either of these guys to win because I kind of feel like they're going to take votes away from each other. But even still, that doesn't take away from the fact that they have been one of the best duos in the entire NHL this year. David Pasternak has been scoring goals at a ridiculous rate. Yeah, he has cooled off a little bit lately, but the guy's still got 25 goals in 31 games. And Brad Marchand has been an amazing setup man and just a great sidekick for Pasta so far this season. In 31 games, Pasternak has 45 points, and in 31 games, Marchand has 46 points. And the Boston Bruins have a 25-6 record and sit 2nd overall in the entire league and 1st in the Atlantic. Sure, the individual numbers for these guys so far this season each have been amazing, but what's even sweeter than that is the amazing record and how valuable these guys are to that Boston team, and that's obviously a huge thing to take into consideration when talking about Hart Trophy candidates. Moving on now, at the number 2 spot, I have Avalanche forward Nathan MacKinnon. He has been amazing so far this season, even though his wingers Landeskog and Rantanen have both missed a good amount of time. And having 2 of your best 3 forwards injured for so much of the early part of the season, you would think they wouldn't have the greatest record, but they are one of the best teams in the entire NHL, and I think that just speaks to how valuable MacKinnon is to this team. So far this season for MacKinnon, in 30 games, he has 19 goals and 28 assists for 47 points. He's most likely going to crack that 100-point mark, which he came so close to breaking last year. He finished with 99 last season. And like I mentioned, the Avalanche being a very good team with a 19-8-3 record and are 2nd in the Central, and they're finally starting to get healthy now, and I think they're only going to get better from here. And all things considered, and just the circumstances that Nathan MacKinnon has had to play through so far this season, he honestly has a strong case to be number 1 on this list. But with that being said, at the number 1 spot, I have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. I couldn't pick between the two. I couldn't pick one and leave the other off the list, so I just put them together, and it's kind of similar to the Brad Marchand and David Pasternak one, where I could honestly see them kind of taking away from each other's votes. Like if they're both 2 of the 3 Hart Trophy nominees, then maybe someone can't decide and they'll just vote for the third guy. Or I could honestly see these guys splitting the Hart Trophy. Has that even ever happened before? But both of these guys are just so valuable to the Edmonton Oilers team. Connor McDavid in 33 games has 55 points already, and Leon Draisaitl, not to be outdone, has 54 points in 33 games. But the biggest difference from last year to this season is the team is actually good now. They're 18-11-4, first place in the Pacific Division, and if they make the playoffs, I honestly think it's a conclusion that one of these guys are going to win the Hart. So that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. Like I said at the start, not everyone is going to have the same list, so make sure to let me know what your rankings would be down in the comment section below. And with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in tomorrow's video.